A very good day to you and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. This particular first day of November, the day of swearing in of one Professor Kithure Kindiki, despite Gachagua'S lawyers calling for the conservatory orders that were put into place to be stayed. I mean, Herman Manyora are going to talk about that, what the future looks like for both Kithure Kindiki, William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. Prof, great to see you this particular day.
Wonderful. On the Kindiki Day. It's called Kindiki Day.
It's Kindiki Day.
Yes.
But you know, the conversation in the country is, we didn't see it coming. Even after the conservatory orders were lifted, who knew it would be today? Did you see it? The Gazette notices, one after the other, I believe 5 came within a span of 2 hours. Did you see this day being
I
Kindiki
thought
Day?
it would be Tuesday. I knew the orders would be lifted. I knew the swearing would take place, but I thought it would be Tuesday. You can even invite your friends. This hurry, which means you know you are doing the wrong thing. It's bad for the country.
You said in our previous video...
But now there's no time to blame anybody. We have entered another phase. And I want Kenyans to enter with me the next phase. We advised, nobody listened to us. We analyzed, nobody cared. We even warned, nobody listened. So the phase we have entered should not be the phase of lamentation. It must be a phase of prayer. For those who are prayerful, let them pray for country. Let them pray for the president so that he may find a better deputy in Kindiki. Let them pray for Kindiki so that he can manage this task comfortably. Let's pray for all of us, because the mistakes we make could land us into trouble. So we pray that God understands our weaknesses as men, and that we have made mistakes in the process, the processes that have led to this day. So we ask God forgive us and continue to protect us. It is also a phase of reflections. Let us reflect on a number of things. If you are a lawyer, is it all about money? Doesn't it get to a point when it's about bigger things than the glory you get in court, than the English you speak in court? Reflect and ask yourself as a senior lawyer, is it not about country and about tomorrow? The money you make as you speak English in court, who is going to enjoy that money? If the country is broken down, who will dance when the drum is broken? Are you part of the breaking of the drum? How will your grandchildren pray, play, and dance around and jump around in a broken country, which you are contributing to break? So it's time for reflection. It's time for those in power to reflect. What's the meaning of power? Just how far can you go to get power? And just like we reflect on life after death, can you reflect on life after power? Can you look at those who were there before you? Those who had money you cannot even dream to have yourself, and how they ended up. Reflect. It's time for Kenyans to pray, because we are past a certain point. We can't undo. But also to reflect on what sort of society. Times like this create moments that can rebuild and recreate through reflection. Yeah.
In case you're looking at this banner at my right side, it's all about if you're looking for glass, aluminium, steel, and you're thinking, where can I get this? And I want to construct a building for commercial or residential use. You can call that number on the screen, 0722 313. You'll get someone direct on that line. You can SMS or WhatsApp, 0722 You'll get someone who will offer you deals for steel, glass, and aluminium for construction. Call that number right now, and you'll find someone who will give you the best deals for glass, steel, and aluminium for both your residential places and commercial places. Prof, it's all about what next. But even before we go to what next, these conservatory orders that were lifted, I was listening to Justice Mrima, and through reading the judgment says it was for public interest that we have this deputy president seat filled. You told me every time that you have the pulse of the country.
Yes.
Before the lifting and after the lifting, what is the pulse of the country?
I think people are getting to give up, which is very, you better have people in the streets. Let me tell Kenyans, You better have people in the streets throwing stones and even breaking glasses, which is not a good thing, of course. But you better have people in the streets than people quiet but angry and mad. That is what a majority of this country is. People are not happy. This I'm telling the country for free.
Then what do you think in the judgment they write public interest?
There's nothing like public interest has been offended. And like I said, the judiciary was on trial. And I repeat here, very few Kenyans can trust the judiciary going forward. It's very unfortunate, but that's where the country is.
What are we looking at then with this?
And you know, I also blame, like I say, reflect, even lawyers, reflect. I think somebody sent me something. I'll talk about it in my solo video. From the UK, he was talking about the things, some of the things I've said. And he said, I don't know whether I should read it without reading the name, but he's in London. A friend of mine who migrated to London, quite a number. He had wanted to come if Raila had won. I asked such a people, just come back. This is your own. Don't tell you are coming to men. Affairs of men are just men. Men are just men.
You wanted to come back to the country?
Many people wanted to come back, but unfortunately, the things here is. Let me say, this is what he says. About other things I'll talk about tomorrow. And he says, I'll also skip the praise he's giving me. Humility can't allow it. As for some lawyers appearing at the High Court, it is a shame that some people refer to them as best brains. If those are the best brains, we are in trouble as a country. I've always talked about lawyers. You see, money has reduced even people who would have become very good doctors, very good engineers, very good lawyers. In the pursuit of money has destroyed all that. You see, a young medic, trained, bright, ambitious, to become a top doctor, to publish, to do everything, even discover. Now we must wait for people who live where there's no malaria to come and do discoveries on malaria, because the moment that person is employed, is harassed with bad salary as an intern, bad stipend as whatever they are paid. As a registrar or a junior doctor is paid so badly, he must now do locum from one hospital to another. And then he discovered that's not even enough. Then he must go into abortion. Then everybody must do bad things to make money. So the bright brain who was going to discover something about malaria is just now like a nurse. So lawyers in this country, and I don't blame them, I think it's about money. What were Gachagua'S lawyers arguing in the court about? There's no point of arguing about conservative. When you argue in court, the ruling, judgment, or whatever determination can go either way. And I'll repeat it, there was nothing to argue about these conservative orders. The moment they were going to be lifted, that was going to be the end of anything. It was going to be an affront on the administration of justice. The judiciary was going to leave ugly, and everybody was going to be a loser.
But what do you expect?
So they should not have gone.
But there's
you just stand in court
Yeah.
and say, we as Gachagua'S lawyers, cannot come here to argue about lifting of conservatory orders. It doesn't make sense at all.
Even if there is the application, you just start.
No, it doesn't make sense at all to argue about lifting those. And they were very clear, especially conservative orders from Kilogoya. Look here, lawyers in this country, my friend, and the judiciary, oh God, I pray for my country. Look, the time we spend arguing whether or not to lift these conservative orders was sufficient time to hear everybody out and make a determination. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
The time we have spent and the money and the energy and all the English trying to argue whether or not those conservative orders should be lifted was sufficient time to do what Justice Mongo and Justice Mwita had said in the conservative orders. The issues, the matters raised by Gachagua and the other applicants are so weighty that we should hear all the parties. The time we have spent arguing whether or not we should lift those orders, the energy, the English, everything.
The Latin.
It was sufficient to hear everybody out and have a determination. We would now be at the Court of Appeal. And in another 1 week or so, the Supreme Court will have pronounced itself on it. You have given the matter due process. Sufficient time for everybody to feel. Like you see that girl was almost angry. But you seem to like that girl so much.
Wanjiru Mwangi.
Yeah. She said, because that's what we have done to ourselves. And you know, me, I speak as a man who loves this country. And I look at this country and I say, God, what kind of lawyers are we having? These are not lawyers. These are just village boys and girls.
But now the precedence has been set. What does this mean for now the future when you look at impeachments? Because they're going to come.
Yes.
There's a Boda guy who was telling me if Raila loses AU and he gets the speaker seat, he might actually go looking for Ruto and impeach him. What precedence has been set with this? You know, we don't have to listen to the case before we swear in the next person.
But that's what we were arguing. We are saying, let us not set bad precedents. I argued and I said this. And that's why in that court there was only Kamino. There was no other lawyer. Even yesterday when he talked after the ruling, he said, it's time to look at these things deeply, to understand society, and even refer them to books. Only Kamino was a lawyer in that. The rest are just buretu, kizungu tu.
So we even ask ourselves, is Gachagua'S goose cooked?
That is not something you can talk about. We can create a situation where there are two people almost with equal right to the throne. So Kindiki is there. Ruto has been impeached. The courts now say almost at the same time, because there's no hurry now in hearing this case. You know it will continue. People think it has come to an end. No, the main matters will be argued. And it could be argued for a year or 6 months or whatever. Then the courts say, Gachagua was wrongly removed, unlawfully and procedurally. And therefore, he ought to come back as deputy president. But at the time that is being pronounced, Ruto has been impeached, or the office is vacant. So there's Kindiki claiming to be
president,
to take over. Here is Gachagua claiming this is my seat. Wars have been fought. The course of the English history was changed by two claimants to the throne. Somebody called, I think, Harold, who, because the king had died in 1066, the English king, without a child, and you know the child. So the nobles gave it to Harold of Wessex. You become king. Somewhere in France, Normandy, somebody said, no, I'm more related to the king and he had promised me. Prince William. And a war ensued in 1066. By December of that year, the war had been decided and the Frenchman won. And that's how the French ruled England for about 300 years, changing the course of the English language and the course of history in England. Wars have been fought, kingdoms have been destroyed, kingdoms have been divided into one and another one because there were two people, powerful kingdoms, even Israel.
I've asked you.
The kingdom our fathers fought so hard to unite have been broken into two, the lower and the eastern kingdoms. What are we talking about? Do these people ever take time to read? Now, even these days, you can get things on when Manyora says about kingdoms being divided and breaking down because of claimants to the. Why don't they just even Google for 10 minutes? They'll see examples. We're creating situations that can destroy a country. There is absolutely no hurry. Let me tell you for a fact, the way systems work, it was most unlikely, and even Gachagua knew it, it will be most unlikely that Kindiki will not be sworn in at the end of the day. It will be most unlikely. Just give it due process. Let us hear out at the High Court, go to the Court of Appeal, but we know we have almost 60 days or 74 days, depending on your reading. Give yourself sufficient time, go to the Court of Appeal. They will have just as said, considering many factors, Kindiki can take over his seat. Simple. I do not see a situation easily where Gachagua would have won this case. But now, they have even given him a lifeline.
How?
But Yeah?
How have they given him a lifeline?
You wait and see. You wait and see.
Is there a possible
Yes,
outcome that will
it's
favor
never over
Gachagua?
until it's over. This one is not over. I wanted it to be over for Kindiki. Because Kindiki is a good man. Kindiki is a good man. You know, I worked with him.
Yeah.
He's a very good gentleman. I would wish him to become deputy president in a clean manner, without questions, without legitimacy hanging over his head. But the guys are in a hurry. I don't know why they were in a hurry.
What's your advice for Kindiki now, getting sworn in, going to sit in the executive as the deputy principal
pray
assistant?
For him. Now that he's a deputy, we shall support him. Even those who didn't support, I had nothing against Kindiki myself, but I didn't like the process. I still don't do. But like John McCain said in his concession speech, sometimes the man who is your opponent or the man now becomes your leader. That very emotional speech from John McCain after losing to Obama. The man who only a short while ago was my opponent is now my president and commander-in-chief.
What does this whole process now show about William Ruto? He was very determined.
I think one thing that comes out about William Ruto, and I pray for the president, is that he's a man who wants what he wants. And life doesn't work like that, unfortunately for the president. No, he should read a bit. Life doesn't work like that. It's good to be a go-getter. The president is a go-getter. Very few men are like Ruto. I've seen even at the university when people are campaigning for deanship and small things. Somebody campaigns and you wonder, what is this guy campaigning for? He can't even eat for a whole month or two. There are people like those. I'm not one of them. So the president has the advantage of being a man who gets what he wants. He goes for it. But you have to temper that. Now that you are the president, you wanted that power. That was justified to go for it against all odds and get it. I didn't give him much hope, but he got it. I support him. But now that you are the president, rise above certain things. You must be the president. That hurry, that determination that whatever you want, you must get. No. Life doesn't work like that. You get it, but sometimes at a great cost. Reflect. Being a president calls for a lot of reflection on things before you do them. Sometimes it's people like Kibaki or Uhuru. They look stupid. They look foolish, actually. Yeah? But they are not. I always give an example of Gachagua'S at the University of Nairobi, one of the longest-serving vice-chancellors. He looked useless and foolish. But now we look back and say, I think, if he had just made a few adjustments here and there, he was the best vice-chancellor we had. He looked like he was not seeing things. When we went on those long one-year strike, other small universities where they were sacking lecturers, he never sacked even one. You know, people are being removed from their houses and he never. Apart from those, the government itself removed. Kina Korwadara and I think Kina Namachanja, late Namachanja. But him, he didn't. Kumbe, he understood the institution much better than this who came Kina Magoa with one, you know, Kina Kiama trying to change everything. Yeah. So sometimes as a leader, taking time and reflecting on things in the long run makes things better for you than trying to get what you want when you want it. So my advice to the president, you need to do recalibration. Teremuka kidogo speed, now that you are the president. Spare that for re-election in 2027. But in these other small matters like having a deputy, sometimes pull back. Let processes take place. Eventually you'll win, I'm sure. But there will be fewer angry people than there are today. There will be fewer people mad at the judiciary than there are today. There will be fewer people mistrusting you than there are today. Let people trust that things have taken place in a normal, orderly, procedural, legal, constitutional manner.
All right.
Even if you are pulling strings behind, you pull from behind. That's what leadership is about. You are the president. You have a lot of power. You can pull strings from behind, but let things appear to be moving in a constitutional, legal, orderly, and natural manner. You convince everybody. But you are pulling
From behind.
That seat has a lot of power. My advice to the president, because there are going to be other situations like this. Borrow a bit from Moi. Moi would withdraw many times. Sometimes even look very weak, but he emerges a victor. Kibaki would appear like, somebody described, was it Uhuru describing Kibaki? You know, there is hands on, other people are hands in. There's a way Uhuru described Kibaki. See no nothing, hear nothing, touch it, nothing, something like that. But the guy would know what he's doing. And the Uhuru was blamed many times for not dealing with Ruto. You remember?
I remember Atuli.
I've had, yeah, Atuli. Baba yako alikuwa hata Uhuru mwenyewe alisema, watu wananiambia baba yangu alikuwa akitoa njora hairudi bila damu.
Yes.
But now if you look back, he was able to be stable for 10 years. It's not easy in a democracy like us, with Kina Raila trying to bring a lot of noise. So my advice to the president, next time you have an issue, take a little time, reflect on it. Don't listen to people who are chest thumping. All
right. Thanks for tuning in to that conversation. 3 things if you're looking for and you're in construction: glass, steel, aluminium. The number is 0722 999 313. Call that number today for better good deals. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day. Congratulations to one Professor Kithure Kindiki.
Congratulations to Kindiki.
Very good.
And here's our prayers.